What's the next thing you remember?
Waking up in the hospital with a detective asking me what I did.
The voice reverberating from the audio recording belongs to Ashley Wallace, captured on the 14th of January, 2009. A year prior, Ashley was leading a joyous life, sharing her days with her sister Bree and her mother Stacy, who doubled as her closest confidant. On the evening of August 13th, 2007, Ashley, then only 19, was heading to bed after an enjoyable evening spent drinking with her mother. That night, Ashley's life veered down a harrowing path. The following morning, on September 14th, Ashley was discovered unresponsive in her bed, an empty alcohol bottle, unused prescription pills, and a letter beside her. The letter contained detailed confessions of two murders, David Castor and Michael Wallace, Ashley's biological father. The complications surfaced when it was revealed that Ashley wasn't the author of the letter. The peaceful community of Clay was left shaken in 2007, and the events of that night would eventually expose one of the most chilling serial killers that New York State has ever encountered.
I need an ambulance. My daughter, I believe, has taken some pills.
Is that her?
Oh, she's throwing up. She left the letter.
What?
Left a note. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Oh my God, this is not happening.
In 1999, nestled within the humble confines of Wheatsport, New York, we found the Wallace family. Their household comprises 11-year-old Ashley, her father Michael, a dedicated mechanic, her doting mother Stacy, and Bree, her younger sister. Ashley holds a fondness for her father's company, but it's her bond with her mother Stacy that is distinctly deeper and more profound.
She was my best friend. Me and her could just sit out and have hour-long conversations, about anything. Everything and anything.
In November of 1999, Ashley remained oblivious to the escalating tension between her parents. Unbeknownst to her, Stacy is contemplating a potential divorce.
Stacy came to me right after Thanksgiving time, and she said, Kim, I really want to leave Mike. What do I do? And I gave her the name of my attorney.
Stacy, however, articulates her concerns regarding the impending holiday season, asserting that it's not an opportune moment for such decisions. She conveys her intent to contemplate divorce proceedings post the commencement of the new year. Concurrently, Ashley has started observing a shift in her mother's demeanor, marked by escalating irritability and aggression.
More of the discipline came from Stacy than my dad. The more affection came from him, and the punishing came from her.
In December 1999, Michael Wallace began to experience an unexpected illness, marked by bouts of dizziness and prolonged periods of rest. He sought medical advice, describing symptoms akin to inebriation, despite maintaining abstinence from alcohol. His physician, attributing the symptoms to an ear infection, provided treatment accordingly and discharged him. However, unbeknownst to them, Michael was the victim of poisoning. On December 24th, Christmas Eve, Michael joined a festive dinner at his mother's place, appearing more unwell than before.
The first time that I noticed my brother, he was like bloated. His face was bloated, his hands were bloated. I asked him what was wrong, and he said, I haven't been feeling well. I got a cold, that kind of stuff. Okay.
As the days unfold, his health steadily worsens. On the mark of January 11th, 2000, a disconcerting twist occurs in Ashley Wallace's life. Upon returning from school, she encounters her father, who has been predominantly dormant on the sofa for the past several weeks.
Came home and I called my mom to tell her that I was home, and he was laying on the couch. I got off the phone with her and I turned the TV on. I remember him making this funny noise. He put his arm up, then he put his arm back down, and that was the last time that he moved. I left to go get my sister, and I got home, and when I got home, Stacy had just got home too because she was going to take my dad to the doctor's. I remember I was standing right behind her, and when I looked in, my dad's feet were this purple color.
In an urgent turn of events, Michael was swiftly transported to the hospital. Despite the relentless efforts from the medical team, they were unable to reverse the critical situation. Tragically, Michael succumbed to what appears to be a cardiac event.
I was there for a half hour with him by myself, not knowing that if I had known what I know now, he wouldn't be... I could have helped him.
Upon being queried about the possibility of conducting an autopsy on her spouse, Ashley Wallace decisively declines.
Stacy, are you going to have an autopsy? She looked at me and she says, Rosa, you know he didn't like being cut up in surgery and everything like that. She says, no. She said Michael would want us to kick back, pop a beer, have a good time, you know, that type of thing, not cry over him.
I just never understood why she didn't cry. I always thought it was because she didn't want me and my sister to see her upset.
The mystery surrounding Michael's demise remains unresolved, destined to be interred alongside him. Ashley Wallace, having transitioned into the role of a widow and mother to 2 young girls, becomes the beneficiary of her late husband's $55,000 life insurance policy. Utilizing these funds, she renovates their family home, reinstating a sense of normalcy. In her pursuit to reestablish her former role as an engaging and lively mother, Stacy treats her daughters to a trip to Disney World, a gesture reminiscent of their joyful past times. However, despite her efforts, a noticeable change lingers in the air.
She started talking on the internet to people, and she started, disconnecting from being a mom.
In the quaint town of Liverpool, New York, 2001 marked a year of prosperity for David Castor. As the successful owner of a flourishing heating company, he basked in a comfortable lifestyle following a recent divorce. His life took a pleasant turn when he started sharing his comforts with Ashley Wallace, a doting mother of 2 young girls in his perspective. However, Ashley and Bree, Stacy's daughters, were not so receptive. They harbored reservations about David, reluctant to accept their father's quick replacement.
At first, we really didn't like him. He said he didn't want to be our father and he didn't want any part of being a father. He already had his kids and he didn't want more.
On August 16, 2003, and mere 2 years after their first encounter, David and Stacy solidified their relationship through marriage. The abrupt nature of their wedding left many taken aback, particularly due to the absence of any family members from David's side. Most notably, his son, David Jr., was not included in the guest list.
They had gotten married and did not tell anybody. I had no idea he was getting married.
Ashley Wallace transitions to Stacy Castor after marrying David and promptly relocates with her 2 daughters to his residence in Liverpool. This move signifies a significant lifestyle elevation for Stacy. Now a single mother, despite the couple's apparent contentment, Ashley and Bree, the daughters, display a clear disapproval of David in his new role as their stepfather. The escalating discord between them transforms their household into an unsettling environment.
David was miserable. My mom acted miserable. The only time they were happy is when they weren't around me and my sister.
As time progresses, a profound connection starts to develop between David and the girls. Unbeknownst to Ashley, who is on the cusp of her graduation, her stepfather harbors a deep sense of pride for her achievements.
If you could see the smile on his face at my graduation party, it's just like he's like a proud father.
As the bond between Ashley and David strengthens, conversely, the newfound love between Stacy and David seems to be on the decline. Persistent altercations have become a regular occurrence for the couple. On August 22, 2005, a disturbing 911 call was received at the county sheriff's office in Syracuse, New York, marking a distressing milestone 2 years into their marriage.
Police communications, can I help you?
My name is Stacy Castor. My husband has locked himself in our bedroom for the last day. I'm just getting a little concerned because I haven't talked to him since 5 o'clock in the morning on Sunday when he locked me out of the bedroom.
Stacy reported to the operator that she had a lengthy dispute with David the preceding night, which spanned approximately 7 hours. In her account, she stated that David consumed an excessive amount of alcohol, specifically Southern Comfort, and subsequently secluded himself in the bedroom, declining to emerge.
Has he ever mentioned hurting himself or harming himself or?
Friday night when we were arguing, he told me to get out, take my kids and get out. I could leave, and then 5 minutes later he said if I left he would make me sorry. I would be sorry if I ever left him.
Promptly, the operator mobilizes law enforcement to the Castor residence.
Okay, don't cry. We're going to check on him, make sure he's okay. Maybe he's depressed. Are you guys going through something right now?
Well, his father died a month ago, and he's been kind of weird acting the last month.
Upon their arrival at the scene, the sheriff's deputies proceed to breach David's room, where they discover him prostrated and unclothed on the bed.
On the nightstand next to the bed was a short glass half full of a green liquid.
Upon entering the room, law enforcement officials discovered an overturned bottle of antifreeze adjacent to the bed. Despite the immediate response of the emergency medical team, David was pronounced dead at the site. The circumstances surrounding the scene suggest that David may have intentionally ingested a fatal quantity of antifreeze, leading to his untimely death.
My gut was telling me that there was something more going on with this. It just wasn't right.
During a routine inspection, a deputy uncovers a turkey baster containing an unusual green fluid concealed within the kitchen waste bin.
If this has got antifreeze in it, what's it doing in the kitchen trash when he's locked himself in the bedroom?
Upon the arrival of the body for forensic examination, Stacy is escorted to the sheriff's office for a comprehensive inquiry. She promptly contacts Ashley to relay the recent developments.
Stacy gets on the phone, and she had sounded like she was upset and everything. So I was like, what is it? And she's like, David passed away.
How does this happen again? Like, how do you lose someone that's such a big part of your life again?
Ashley finds herself in a state of distress, having lost a second paternal figure without any inkling of the perilous nature of her mother. Traditionally, a wife who murders her spouse is termed a black widow, named after the notorious spider infamous for its partner-killing tendencies. Stacy Castor, however, is set to transcend this infamous label. As the probe into David's demise awaits additional forensic findings, Stacy remains unconfined. Upon the reading of David's will, it is revealed that his entire legacy, encompassing his business ventures, his residential property, and all his vehicles, is bequeathed to Stacy, with no provisions made for his son, David Jr.
I don't even believe my name was mentioned in it. My first feelings on that were my father really did not like me. I thought he was just pissed at me, like wanted nothing to do with me and never wanted anything to do with me again.
Stacy started taking me and my sister on trips. Now she was actually spending time with us and spending money on us and wanting to be our friend again.
In 2006, a year subsequent to the demise of David Castor, Detective Spinelli was handed over the forensic findings from the case. The evidence disclosed that the turkey baster contained antifreeze, with David's DNA present at the tip. Additionally, a glass, discovered to have been filled with antifreeze, bore 3 distinct fingerprints, all of which were identified as those of Stacy Castor.
At that singular point right there, my thought processes go from probable suicide to almost certainly a homicide.
Blood tests have revealed discrepancies in Stacy's account to the 911 operator, particularly her assertion that David had been intoxicated that weekend.
Friday night, he got heavily intoxicated, slept through the day on Saturday.
The findings have conclusively revealed that there was no alcohol present in David Castor's blood. Both District Attorney William Fitzpatrick and Detective Spinelli are now leaning towards the possibility of Stacy being the culprit behind David Castor's demise. However, in order to solidify this hypothesis, they require more substantial evidence than just a handful of prints.
Absent a confession or an eyewitness, it's a massive process. I mean, we literally have to interview hundreds and hundreds of people.
The optimal course of action would involve conducting an interview with Stacy's initial spouse and the father of Ashley and Bree, Mr. Michael Wallace.
It turns out we can't talk to him because he's dead.
And that's when the trouble for Stacy Castor really starts.
On September 7th, 2007, 2 years after the death of her husband, David Castor, Stacy Castor was requested to meet Detective Spinelli for a second interview at the sheriff's office.
I told her that we needed to close the case out one way or the other, and I need to have some questions answered.
She seemed nervous. She was pacing.
At this point, she is informed by the investigative team, which includes the district attorney, that her first husband's remains have been exhumed. They disclose to her that antifreeze was detected in his system, mirroring the findings in the body of David Castor, her second husband. Following this revelation, a potentially perilous sequence of events is initiated by a question posed to her by Detective Spinelli.
And I said, Stacy, there's 2 glasses on here. Can you tell me which glass it was that you recall bringing into the room when you gave him cranberry juice? And she looked at it and said, well, when I poured the antifreeze, and then she stopped and said, I mean the cranberry juice.
Those of us that were watching the interview went, oh my God. That was a Freudian slip that she couldn't control.
And she said, I don't like this. You're trying to frame me. You're trying to pin this on me, and I'm done. And she stopped the interview. It was apparent that Stacy was extremely nervous. We decided the next step would be to obtain wiretap on Stacy's phones.
Stacy Castor finds herself in a precarious position, fully aware that the police are on the verge of charging her for dual homicide, unless she can outmaneuver them. With every passing moment, she edges closer to her end, yet what the investigators have overlooked is the extent of Stacy's audacity to obfuscate her felonies. On September 14th, a week after her secondary interrogation, a chilling spectacle unfolds before the detectives monitoring the wiretapped conversations in Castor's household.
The investigators who are listening on the wiretap hear a 911 call from Stacy Castor.
I need an ambulance.
What's the problem?
My daughter, I believe, has taken some pills.
Is she conscious?
Yes, she's no. I'm leaning over her. Ashley, she's having trouble, I think. It sounds like there's something in her throat. Ashley. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Oh my God, this is not happening.
Immediately, law enforcement officers are summoned to the Castor residence located on Wetzel Road. As Ashley's life teeters on the brink, her mother discloses the presence of an empty vodka bottle and prescription medication containers situated next to Ashley's bed.
Is that her?
Oh, she's throwing up.
Turn on her side.
She left a letter.
What? She left a letter?
Left a note.
Bree Wallace, the 16-year-old second daughter of Stacy, is present in the room. She passes over a note, previously left by Ashley, to her mother.
Mommy, remember that I love you more than anything, and I did it for you and for us. I couldn't let Daddy be mean to you and me anymore. Please forgive me, Mommy. Please don't hate me.
In the formal correspondence, Ashley is alleged to have confessed to the homicides of David Castor and Michael Wallace, her biological father. The letter offers detailed descriptions of how she systematically poisoned them. However, an anomaly arises with this letter. Comprising 750 meticulously typewritten words, even the sign-off name Ashley is typed. The stark reality, however, is that Ashley was not the author of this letter. Upon the arrival of emergency service professionals at the Castor residence, Ashley is found in a state of unresponsiveness.
She wasn't talking. She looked petrified.
Her eyes are wide open, but she's not seeing anything.
She was swiftly transported to the hospital, teetering on the brink of survival. Should she succumb, the true nature of the incident may forever remain a mystery.
She was in intensive care. They weren't sure she was going to live.
I can tell you that that is one of the lowest moments of my life. I would have accepted partial responsibility for the death of Ashley Wallace.
The letter found beside Ashley provides a detailed account of Michael Wallace's murder. However, Ashley was merely 11 years old when this occurred, leading to the question of whether a child could concoct such a complex plot. Stacy Castor's meticulously devised plan almost has the detectives convinced. Regardless of their conclusions, they possess a confession that, unless Ashley regains consciousness, will lead to her being implicated in the murder of both her fathers. This would allow Stacy Castor to escape unpunished after murdering her own daughter and framing her for the heinous act.
My biggest fear was that Ashley was going to die.
In a professional setting, Detectives maintain a round-the-clock vigil at the hospital, closely monitoring Ashley's room in anticipation of her regaining consciousness.
It was several hours for Ashley to work through whatever she had ingested and start to come out of it.
I actually woke up in the hospital, and I had no idea what day it was. I had no idea where I was.
Before regaining complete awareness, Stacy Castor tenaciously overcomes the security impediments, asserting her demand to see her daughter.
The next thing I remember is Stacy coming in and touching my hair. And I look up and I remember seeing a police officer standing right next to her. She said to me something like, "I'm sorry, I love you," and then she just left.
In a groundbreaking development, investigators have, for the first time, gained insight into Stacy Castor's machinations to wrongfully implicate Ashley for her own transgressions. The narrative of Ashley commences on September 12th, a mere 2 days prior.
I'm really nervous because it's my first day of school. I get to my class and a lady comes in and says that I needed to go down to the office. The one detective was from Cuyahoga County and he goes, "I don't know if you've heard, but we have exhumed your father's body and we found antifreeze in his system."
The detectives are unaware that Stacy had already cautioned Ashley, making certain her daughter would side with her, manipulating her so she would be mad at the police instead.
Hello?
Mommy, they came to my freaking school.
They came to your school? Are you okay?
I'm gonna be okay, but I'm really freaking out right now.
Oh my God. That bastard came to your school. Do you want me to come and get you?
No, I have to be here.
All right, calm down and go back to class, all right?
I love you.
I love you too.
At around 5:00 p.m., Stacy proposes to Ashley to drown their sorrows.
We've had a rough week, let's just get drunk. I was like, cool, you know? What kind of teenager wouldn't think that was awesome? My parents just gave you permission to drink. It was weird, like how tired I actually got from finishing that drink. And so I told her I was gonna go lay down because I was about to pass out. Like, that's how drunk I felt off of one drink.
On the morning of September 13th, Ashley awakens with a severe hangover. Despite this, she attends school as usual. Upon returning home, Stacy once again proposes that they indulge in alcohol. This time, her suggestion is more daring. Let's get really drunk.
I could taste the vodka and it was very strong and it made me cringe, and I asked her if she could take it back and put either more orange juice in it or more Sprite in it.
In a composed manner, Stacy ventures into the kitchen, retrieving a straw. She instructs Ashley to carefully insert the straw into the back of her throat and consume the liquid. Complying with her mother's guidance, Ashley promptly loses consciousness. As the evening unfolds, Bree returns to discover her sister has spent the entirety of the day in slumber.
I opened the door a little bit. My mom came out of like nowhere and closed the door. She's fine. I'm like, really? And like, to me, that was weird. Right then and there, I was like, are you sure she's okay? Mom's like, she's sleeping, and I hope she sleeps through the entire night.
Upon the arrival of dawn, Bree is stirred by an unusual sound emanating from Ashley's room.
She was making that noise when she was breathing out, and her eyes were all glassed over, and she had thrown up, and I called her name, and she didn't answer me, and I shook her, and she didn't wake up.
Even though she wasn't like responding to anything, she looked scared.
Did you think that you were losing her?
I did.
Had her sister, Bree, not intervened, Ashley's life would have ended in her bed merely 10 minutes later. Upon regaining consciousness in the hospital, Ashley and Bree are confronted with a harrowing truth. Their own mother had just made an attempt on Ashley's life.
When I woke up and saw that police officer standing there, I absolutely knew that I didn't do it. And she was the only one there, so it had to have been her.
Upon the revelation of Ashley's testimony, District Attorney Fitzpatrick promptly directs the immediate arrest of Stacy Castor.
We made the conscious decision to arrest her right there on the property of the hospital.
But a Liverpool woman tonight is charged with killing her husband, and investigators say it appears this is not the first time.
What shocked the community was the idea that a mother would attempt to murder her own daughter to save her own skin to blame her for the murders of her two husbands. What could be more basic than a mother's love for her child?
Stacey Castor's trial began on January 13, 2009. Ashley appears in court 1 year after her mother attempted to murder her and frame her for murder. District Attorney William Fitzpatrick is the prosecutor. He's been preparing Ashley for this moment, but she's up against a huge challenge. Confronting her mother in court, the woman she's trusted her entire life and who has deceived her.
There were other parts of me that are still the little kid and were afraid of that mom look she was going to give me, like, I am so disappointed in you that you're up there testifying against me.
The worst part is that Stacey Castor's sole defense is that Ashley murdered both of her fathers. All Stacey needs is one jury to cast reasonable doubt on her, and she walks free. Fitzpatrick takes a risk by summoning Ashley to the stand as the first witness.
I want to ask you about the day your dad died.
I saw him take and lift his arm up, and then he made a breath, and then he didn't move again after that. So I thought he was just sleeping.
Ashley is extremely distraught as she narrates her story.
I wanted to be sitting right next to her and holding her hand and helping her, and she shouldn't have had to go through that alone.
Fitzpatrick then prompts her to talk about the night her mother attempted to poison her.
She came home and she was like, let's get drunk. Let's get just totally drunk.
Now, Ashley, I want you to explain to the jury, if the cup tasted bad and you didn't enjoy it, why would you drink it?
Because I trusted her.
What's the next thing you remember?
Waking up in the hospital with a detective asking me what I did. What did you drink? What did you do? What did you take? What did you write in that note? But I didn't know what he was talking about because I didn't write a note and I didn't take anything.
The trial lasts for 3 whole weeks. The evidence is overwhelming against Stacey Castor. The house computer was searched for forensic evidence by investigators. The letter was completed on September 12th at 2:27 p.m. Ashley couldn't have written that letter while at school. In reality, it was the same day she panickedly contacted her mother at home.
Mommy, they came to my freaking school.
They came to your school?
Stacey was the sole inhabitant of the house when the letter was composed on her computer.
I'd never seen anything like it before in my life. It's got detail about the death of David Castor. It's got detail about why Ashley tried to take her own life. Whoever wrote that note killed Mike Wallace and killed David Castor.
It wasn't a note, it was a confession. And it was Stacey Castor that confessed in that note.
In a turn of events, one of Stacey's acquaintances has confessed to aiding in the fabrication of David Castor's will post his demise, ensuring Stacey was the only recipient of his estate. This revelation, surprisingly, brings a sense of relief to his son, David Castor Jr.
It made me feel a lot better, like that he remembered good times, not just the bad time.
The unexpected move of the defense attorney placing Stacey on the witness stand caught many off guard. However, prosecutor Fitzpatrick demonstrated readiness and adaptability in response.
Did Ashley poison him?
I did not poison him.
When did Ashley poison him?
I can't answer that question.
Through all of this, Stacey Castor is showing no emotion. And then prosecutor Fitzpatrick explodes.
My God, you lost 2 husbands to poisoning. Your daughter has just learned that her father was dug out of his grave.
Stacey Castor remains cool, calm, collected.
The case is now in the hands of the jury in the Stacey Castor murder trial.
It's now up to them to determine if they've seen enough evidence.
Upon the trial's conclusion, there ensues a tension-filled period of 4 days before the verdict is ultimately rendered.
Ashley was standing in the hallway and someone had said we had a verdict and she just dropped to her knees on the ground.
The people of the state of New York versus Stacey R. Castor, the jury's reached a verdict. As to count number 1, murder in the second degree, what is the verdict?
Guilty.
On count 2, attempted murder in the second degree, what's the verdict?
Guilty.
The court has rendered a definitive verdict, convicting Stacey Castor on every charge against her. Consequently, she has been handed a lengthy sentence of 54 years in incarceration.
All I could do was just cry because I was just so happy. You could just feel this huge weight just being lifted right off of you.
You're not just a danger to the general public, you're a danger to the people who love you and are closest to you. And I believe that the sentence I'm about to impose will remove that danger once and for all.
Honestly, that was the best day of my life. Because I knew that people knew that I didn't do it.
I'm just glad it's over. And I believe that my brother was there by their sides.
In the aftermath of the trial, both Ashley and Bree managed to navigate through life, their journey buoyed by the support of family and friends. However, they were not immune to hardships. The actions of Stacy, who Ashley no longer acknowledges as her mother, have resulted in a loss of countless cherished memories with her father.
She took away my dad. She even took away David, who would have loved to walk me down the aisle. It's just heartbreaking.
She says, "As hard as it is to get up every day and put a smile on my face, I know that I have to, because if I don't, then Stacy won."
I graduated from college. I got my associate's degree in accounting. I work at a CPA firm and I'm a bookkeeper. I would have never done any of that stuff if I still was with Stacy. I wake up and I'm happy every day. I couldn't change a thing that I'm doing right now.
William Fitzpatrick, who provided unwavering support to Ashley during the course of the trial, has since cultivated a deep connection with her, even pledging to accompany her down the aisle on her wedding day. Albeit unconfirmed, speculations abound that Stacy Castor could be implicated in the death of her own father back in 2002, deploying the same murderous tactics she used on David Castor and Michael Wallace. Despite enjoying years of impunity, she eventually met her end behind bars in 2016. Contrary to her expectations, it was her own daughters who precipitated her downfall. The unshakable bond of love between Ashley and Bree triumphed over a serial killer, with the fulfillment they now find in life serving as their ultimate retribution.